Hey everybody, this is Coop from Demonic Legion. I played a 2,500 point game today with my demons against a Khorne Legions of Chaos list. So for my list, I brought Orgoth's Demon Spew. He is one of the Magath Lords that came out in the Glocken book. He's pretty nasty. He's definitely a combat lord. He's got uh, paired weapons that give him a total of 9 attacks that hit at strength 8 and are poisoned, and he's got 9 wounds and pretty high stats for everything else for weapon skill and initiative. Got a level 4 Keeper of Secrets, Lore of Slaanesh. He's got a 75 and a 25 point gift. The 75 point gift was I rolled up +3 strength, which I deferred to the Eternal Blade, which gives him each round of combat I roll D3, and that amount is added to his weapon skill, initiative, number of attacks, and strength. So initiative and weapon skill is pretty much capped out already, but I thought it'd be nice to have the additional attacks. For core, I've got 40 pink cores, each in units of 10. They all have the standard musician, and to make the minimum 25%, I had to add a champion and the Lichbone Pennant to one of them. For special, I've got 4 Beasts of Nurgle, all one block, 5 Chaos Furies with a Mark of Slaanesh, and then for rare, I've got 2 Skull Cannons of Khorne and a Soul Grinder. So it's kind of a smaller list for 2,500 points in terms of model count, just because Orgoth's Demon Spew and the Keeper of Secrets are about 1,000 points combined. And then the Soul Grinder is like 250 points. So that's basically half of the list in those 3 models. These are the spells I rolled up for the Keeper of Secrets. I was pretty happy with it. I rolled 2 5s, a 3, and a 1. So one of the 5s I took Phantasmagoria, which it's basically the opposite of Cold-Blooded. You hex a unit, and they have to roll 3 dice for the leadership test, and they remove the lowest. So I think that gives them an average of 9 for their leadership test. For the additional spell I could pick, because I rolled 2 5s, I took Cacophonic Choir. That was a no-brainer. It is a hex spell, goes off in a 12, and it does 2d6 hits to the unit, and they suffer a wound on a 4-up, and they have no armor saves of any kind. Also, if they take a wound, they get random movement and always strikes last. You can additionally bump up the spell to go off on a 24, so double the casting cost, and it affects all units within 24, so it's really powerful. I got Hysterical Frenzy, which I never ended up casting. It basically gives the unit Frenzy. And then Acquiescence, which is a fantastic spell, the one spell. It costs 6 to go off. It's a hex, range of 24. And the unit gets always strikes last and random movement. So it really helps you control the magic or the movement phase. And even better, for 9 up, you can cast it on a 48-inch range, which is a large portion of the table. So this is my deployment. I've got basically 3 units of my 4 pink cores in the bottom right flank, and the Keeper of Secrets is right next to them on the flank as well. He's moving 10, so he's going to march 20, so I wasn't really concerned about him being too far away from anything. My pink cores got Treason of Tzeentch in the bottom right. Both change on these pink cores and Tzeentch's Firestorm. I don't cast a lot of the Tzeentch spells, so when I do, I'll tell you what they do. In the center, sorry for the blurry picture, I've got the 4 Beasts of Nurgle with Orgoth's Demon Spew, who's my general. He's also leadership 9 with the Keeper, so I chose him because the beasts are there. I've got 2 Skull Cannons in the back. On the left flank, I've got my Furies of Slaanesh, my Soul Grinder, who's just got the Claw upgrade, and a unit of pink cores in the far left. They have Blue Fires of Tzeentch, which is a signature spell. My opponent, he's playing a Khorne list from Legions of Chaos. So he's got the new Bloodthirster way on the left. I think it's like 570 points. It's the one that's totally tricked out with. I'm not exactly sure what all the stuff it has, but it's pretty strong on the charge and can do some pretty nasty things in combat. He's got 5 of the new Wrathmongers. They're either the new Khorne units, so the ones that have impact hits. And he's also got the character in there who he'll if he dies, he rolls, and on like a 4-up, he brings himself back to life with D3 wounds. And additionally, for each challenge he wins, he adds 1 to the likelihood that he comes back. So if he beats 2 people in a challenge, he's coming back on a 2-up or something like that. So he's pretty nasty. He's got 3 Skull Crushers. They are lined up where this Skull Crusher is. He just didn't want to mess with putting the movement tray up there. He's got a Skull Cannon of Khorne because it's a Legion's list. He's got 6 Warriors of Chaos who are marked Khorne, and then another, I think 21 back here, or maybe it's only 18. This unit has double hand weapons, and this unit has halberds. He's also got a Gorbeast Chariot on the far right. So, turn 1 Demons, even though he finished deploying first, I rolled a 6, and I think he rolled a 1, so I got to go first. No charges to declare. For movement, I moved my Keeper of Secrets up the full 20. He deployed the Gorbeast sideways so that he gets like an extra half an inch or something of movement, which normally would be helpful, but since I went first, it actually hurts him quite a bit because he's not going to be able to charge my Keeper. I moved up the Beast of Nurgle and Demon Spew in the center, and I think I moved them up about 10 inches so that they're a little bit too far for his warriors to charge. I moved the Furies up to the left so that they will be able to fly 20 and chaff up these Wrathmongers in the next turn. I should say for Winds of Magic, I rolled a 3, which didn't end up doing anything to me on the Reign of Chaos table. I didn't channel at all. I ended up giving his Khorne Warriors in the back here Acquiescence, which means they're a random movement and always strikes last. I did that on 1 die, and then I had 2 dice left to cast Cacophonic Choir on his Chariot, but I rolled 2 1s, so it didn't go off, obviously. And then in the shooting phase, my Skull Cannons were able to take out his Skull Cannon. I think I only needed 1. I rolled 6 wounds or something like that, so it popped, which is great. That was my target number 1 because I definitely didn't want him shooting into my Keeper of Secrets, Soul Grinder, or Demon Spew. And this is just a picture of Acquiescence off on the Warriors. I guess there are 4 ranks of them. It's hard to tell because these ones in the back aren't painted, but 4 ranks of them, so that's a total of 24 Warriors. Turn 1, Legion. So yep, as you can see, his Bloodthirster rolled double 6s for the charge and got into Demon Spew. I wasn't super concerned about this just because I play demons, so I know how weak the greater demons are in terms of saves. So he's got a 5-up armor save because of heavy armor and a 5-up ward save, which is nothing. And Demon Spew just does so many attacks at such a high strength that I wasn't really concerned about this whatsoever. This is actually probably one of the better outcomes because I definitely think I could take the Bloodthirster. And then his Blood Crushers go, or Skull Crushers, whichever one they are. They go, the Warriors of Chaos version goes straight into my Beast of Nurgle. I wasn't really planning for this. I guess it wasn't too far of a charge for him to make, so I was a little surprised, and I'm definitely going to lose the unit eventually if I don't get help. But they're Beast of Nurgle, so they keep him tied up for a while. And then the Furies died. He rolled, I think, the Dark Prince Thirst or something like that for the Winds of Magic, and he rolled a 6 for the Furies, and then they rolled just way too high on the leadership test. So the Dark Prince Thirst does, you roll a die, and for each enemy unit, and on a 6, they're targeted, and then they have to take a leadership test on 3 dice, and then for each point they fail, they take a wound. So the Furies really failed. Their leadership 2 because they're so far away from. Actually, their leadership 2 because the general is too far away, so they just popped. So combat over here. This was I rolled an incredible number of attacks for the beasts. They get d6 plus 1 attacks, and I think I rolled 25 total. But their strength 4, so -1 to the armor save, and the Skull Crushers have like a 1-up armor save, so they got a 2-up basically. I got like 10 wounds through, but he only takes 2. And then he does, I think 3 or 4 wounds to me, and then I take another one for instability because I lose combat. But that's not that bad. And then the Bloodthirster, he does 4 wounds to Demon Spew. He's got like 7 or 8 attacks. I forgot exactly how many. And he just puts a few through. Demon Spew's got a 3-up armor save, which was totally ignored because he was at such high strength. And then a 6-up ward, which was not super helpful. But because he's Nurgle, he's got the -1 to hit, so it makes it a little bit harder for the Bloodthirster to kill him. I was able to do 3 wounds to the Bloodthirster, which is pretty good. I was happy about that. But since he got a flank charge, and he did 1 more wound, I was testing on leadership 6. But luckily, I rolled exactly a 6. I was a little concerned there for a second, but it worked out. Turn 2, Demons. This was a no-brainer. I brought both the Skull Cannons in with d6 plus 1 impact hits because of Scythes and strength 6 in the charge. I knew he was going to die. Well, I was hoping he was going to die, as long as I don't roll super low for impact hits. Magic phase, I just moved myself up a little bit, and or actually moved myself back. He had moved his Gore Beast Chariot up to be very close to my Keeper of Secrets, and then I just moved mine back. I think I rolled a 6 for the magic phase, and I threw 4 dice at Cacophonic Choir on the Chariot. It goes off on a 17, and he tries to dispel it, but he's not close just because he doesn't have the level 4. Tragically, I roll a 3 for the number of hits. All of them wounded, luckily, but I was 1 short of killing the Chariot. And then for combat, as you can see, the poor Bloodthirster just pops. He wasn't able to stand up to the impact hits. I rolled a 3 and a 2 for the impact hits, so that ends up being 7 with Scythes. And I think I rolled 3 wounds. He's toughness 6, I'm strength 6 on the charge, so it's pretty likely that I roll 3 or 4 wounds, and he just couldn't save all of them. I think he saved 1 out of the 3. So he popped, and I just kind of stand there. I'm going to charge the Blood Crushers, or the Skull Crushers, with Demon Spew next turn, ideally. Additionally, I got off Acquiescence on the Blood Crushers, so they are always strikes last, and random movement, but always strikes last is the only thing that's relevant. Fortunately, the beasts don't get any wounds, and they take a couple in return. I think this is after I roll for instability, so I've got 6 wounds left worth of beasts. Turn 2, Legion. Again, something crazy happens with the magic phase. I don't know exactly what it is, but it might have been the Dark Prince Thirst again, but I end up losing 5, 6. I lost 6 pink horrors over here. He ends up making short work of my beasts just because they don't have any support, and they really can't get through a 1-up armor save. That's one of the big weaknesses of Beasts of Nurgle and Plague Bearers, is that they have a really difficult time with high armor save units. If these were a 4-up armor save, it wouldn't be a problem. They'd probably be dead by now, but 1-up is just too much. Turn 3, Demons. He didn't really do any movement either, I should say, in turn 2. He just kind of reformed to face my guys. Demon Spew goes into the Skull Crushers, and my Skull Cannon lines up to take a flank shot on the Wrathmongers. And additionally, my Keeper of Secrets charges into his Warriors. Winds of Magic. I don't think I rolled anything particularly great. I get acquiescence off on the chariot, so it's not going to go into my pink horrors that are below. And they rolled Bolt of Change, which is a bolt thrower, 8 to go off, and it is strength d6 plus 4, and it penetrates ranks like a bolt thrower, and it does d3 wounds. So I just need to do 1 wound. I rolled it. It went off. I think I rolled a 4, so strength 8. All I needed was anything but a 1, but unfortunately I rolled a 1, so I wasn't able to kill the chariot. So this is after shooting. I take off 2 full Wrathmongers with the Skull Cannon. I rolled pretty well for the shot. I rolled like a 2 for the landing spot, which was great because if I rolled any higher, I think it would have went off. Or if I rolled like a 6, I think I would have missed most of them. But I killed 2 of them, which was nice. And then combat. So as you can see, Demon Spew ended up in combat over here. So he totally annihilated the Skull Crushers. They had to accept the challenge, and he did like 5 wounds or something like that, 5 or 6 wounds. So he fled, and he was left with a banner, which automatically explodes when it flees. And then he overran, and I think he rolled a 9. And I don't know if he needed that high, but he was able to get into the warriors. So for this combat, he has to declare a challenge. Actually, Demon Spew has to declare a challenge as well. So his champion and Demon Spew fought each other. This is actually after the challenge. I think I did like 5 wounds to him. It was no problem. And while I'm rolling on the Eye of the Gods table, I think he ended up getting +1 toughness for this, and then +1 initiative for, actually +1 attack for the killing the Skull Crushers. And then Keeper of Secrets goes into the unit. I think I rolled 3 extra attacks from the Eternal Blade, so he tears up the unit pretty quickly. They're able to do 1 wound back to him, and he uses his breath weapon, and I think he kills another 2 guys or something. He killed enough so they're no longer steadfast, and they fled. I only pursued with the Keeper of Secrets because I was hoping he would go, far enough that Demon Spew would have an easy charge against the warriors. Unfortunately, he rolled a 4 for his flee, and I rolled a 3 for the Keeper of Secrets, so I'm just right behind him. He ended up sneaking through 1 wound on the Keeper, and I wasn't even able to kill him, which was a shame. Turn 3 Legions, he just reforms his Wrathmongers to face the Skull Cannon. One thing that's a real shame about them is their movement 4 instead of 5, or even 6. Ogres are pretty quick, but these guys are just so slow, even though they're large. They're large-looking models. They actually count as infantry, so they can get thunder-stomped, which is terrible for them. But because they're so slow, it's hard for them to get into combat. Same thing with the new Blight Kings, so he just kind of reforms. Combat, there was no combat over here. He reforms his warriors to face Demon Spew, and then his chariot over here can only move, I think, 1 because it had a random movement, so he rolled 1 forward. This is actually turn 4 demons, sorry. The Skull Cannon goes into the unit, and then the Soul Grinder goes into the unit of Wrathmongers as well. I also ended up getting off Acquiescence in the magic phase, which is great, so they're always strikes last. The chariot ends up dying. I do Bolt of Change into him, and I do get the wound through, so I kill the chariot. And then I end up getting Phantasmagoria off on this big unit. That means that they have to roll 3 dice when they get a leadership check, and they discard the lowest. Additionally, you can't see it here, but Demon Spew ends up going into them. I don't think I have any pictures of it, but he ends up doing a ton of wounds to the one guy that challenges him, and he ends up gaining +1 attack, so now he's got 10 attacks. And he ends up passing his leadership test, no problem. So this is way in the future, but nothing else really happens in the game, so I'll just go through really quick. Keeper of Secrets ends up charging the warriors that were in front of him. They had rallied. He charges them and wipes them out, and then turns to face this big unit over here. Demon Spew is just beating on them for a couple turns, and he ends up getting down to 2 wounds remaining. But when the keeper goes in and Demon Spew is still there, I killed him to the last man, so that was no problem. And I don't think I have any pictures of this combat at the end, but I ended up wiping the whole unit. With Impact Heads from the Skull Cannon and Thunder Stomp from the Soul Grinder, it just annihilates the unit. Plus the Bloodletter got a killing blow on one of the Wrathmongers, and because they're infantry, the whole model's just gone. The full 3 wounds or whatever it is. So, some closing thoughts. I think the list I played was very good. I've done a previous battle report with Demon Spew, and I'll say the exact same thing. He's a little ridiculous. They went overboard with some of these special characters in the End Times editions. I really love the model, and I had a great time painting him, so that's why I like playing with him so much. But he's definitely cheesy, and he definitely makes back his points every single time. I've never had him die. He just got too many wounds at 9, and he just obliterates everything. The Keeper's Sequence is really great too. Some people don't think the Eternal Blade's worth taking on him, but I definitely think it is. Even though it's only going to affect his strength and his attacks, really makes a difference. Getting an extra 2 attacks, so 8 instead of 6, is really nice. And with that high of a strength and armor piercing, because he's Slanesh, no one's getting any armor saves. Additionally, there are times where people are playing Shadow or whatever, and they'll throw Miasma up or the Enfeebling Foe to try to give their combat lords an edge, and the Eternal Blade just takes care of the hexes just because he gets extra to initiative or weapon skill. The Beasts of Nurgle did what they were supposed to do. They held people up. Skull Cannons are always great. They make back their points virtually every single time. They're always worth bringing, and I love them. And then the Pink Horrors. So usually when I have a level 4 caster, I don't bring the Pink Horrors because I think it's too much magic, and you won't be able to cast all the spells, which is very true. I only got 1 spell off I got 2 spells off with the Pink Horrors. Only one of them actually had an effect. It was the one that took off 1 wound. So they definitely didn't make back their points with enemies killed, but the really nice thing about having them is that you spread them out on your back and on the sides of the deployment zone, and your opponent's just never going to kill them all. And if they do, they're spending way too much time killing guys that really aren't a threat and leaving the guys that are a threat alone. So they're actually pretty nice to bring. I don't think he did a single wound to them except for the Dark Prince Thirst. So that's a full 625 points that were just, safe from combat and everything. And the nice thing is they give you 4 channels, rerolling 1s, and the extra channel for the level 4 from Slanesh. So I get about an extra die each magic phase and dispel phase. So that's pretty good. And there are times where the Keeper of Secrets doesn't really have anything great to cast. Acquiescence is really nice, but it goes off on a 6, so I can toss one die at the end of the magic phase, and it'll go off on a 2/3 chance. Or I can, throw 2 dice at it. That's not bad. Choir, throwing 6 dice at Choir for the bubble versions, not always the best idea, just because you don't want to get sucked into the warp. So, you'll do the smaller one, which requires a 12, so you throw 3 dice at it. And then I didn't need Hysterical Frenzy, and Phantasmagoria is really not that helpful in all this, in certain situations. So it's nice to have other small spells you can cast. And again, it's just points that are very, very hard for your opponent to get. So I actually think it's a decent combo with a level 4. It's not too much magic, and they did their job. And lastly, the Soul Grinder. He's always good, just because I've noticed people spend an incredible amount of time trying to kill Soul Grinders. So if you're a Demons player and you've got a Greater Demon, it's always worth it, I think, in my opinion, to bring it 1 or 2 Soul Grinders. I played earlier in the day. I had played a game against Wood Elves, and he just spent so long trying to kill the Soul Grinder with toughness 7, sending so many shots into it, and eventually got the Withering on it, and he got -3 to his toughness. And even then, he just spent so many shots going into it that everything else was kind of ignored for a while. So Soul Grinder is definitely a nice thing to bring. And just some thoughts for people who are interested in the new Khorne models. I'm actually not a huge fan of the new Bloodthirsters. They didn't improve their saves at all. They're really nasty in combat, but the normal Bloodthirster's already pretty nasty in combat. And the new base is a real disadvantage for the Bloodthirster. It makes him super long, and it makes him wider than before, so more elves are going to be able to attack back, and cannons are going to have a even easier time killing him, which is not what you want when you only have a 5 aboard save against cannons. So, not a real huge fan of the new Bloodthirster. And also, it's like $116, which is quite a lot. And then lastly, the Wrathmongers. They seem like they'd be good in combat, but at movement 4 and being able to get Thunderstomped, it's pretty easy to just ignore them the entire game. You just throw some chaff in front, or you just move your guys back. Average charge is 11, which is not that far, so if you ever face them, know that they're moving pretty slow and just kind of chaff them up and ignore them, basically. If you got someone with Thunderstomp and take it into the flank, you'll do a great job against them. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You can check out my other battle reports. I've got a couple Demons ones up and some Dark Elf ones as well. Thanks. Bye.